Okay, good evening once again. How are you? No, I'm okay. I hope we went through the recording for the recording that I sent because I'm going to pick up from that recording. I'm going to continue. Okay. So today basically we are going to look at importing an external file into SPSS. And we are going to specifically work with an Excel file. No wonder I shared that Excel file because I want us to use it, and hence I want us to have the exact same data. So that when we import, we are going to be using the same data for analysis. All right. So before we get started, I'm just going to go through these few things that we are supposed to keep in mind as we name variables. Okay. Then after that, we are going to move on and import a file, and then make sure that the data is compatible with SPSS. And then maybe we can do, okay. So basically these are a few things that you're supposed to take note of as you name variables. Okay. I'm going to illustrate some of these and you'll be able to see exactly what I mean. But I think I talked about this in the last lecture that we had. But I just want to go through again because good evening, madam. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. Oh, it is well. All right. So the first thing we have to keep in mind is that names can be safely up to 32 characters long. Okay. So when you're coming up with a name of a variable, names of variables, of course, they are different. You can have age as a name of a variable. You can have marital status as a name of a variable. Okay. So variables are basically cases that you are doing an analysis on. Okay. Cases that you are doing a research on. Okay. So basically those are variables. So you can have a date of birth as a variable, marital status as a variable, you know, name of a school if you're analyzing a school, name of a pupil if you're analyzing some pupils at a certain school, such kind of things. So basically the names can go up to 32 characters. Meaning if it's a name, then it could go up to maybe 32 words. Okay, that's enough space for the name of the variable. Okay. Then the other thing that we need to keep in mind is that you can't use a space in a variable name. Okay. For instance, if the name of the variable is marital status, between marital and status, you can't put space there. Okay. You can use an underscore instead, you know, or just not leave any space. You use a situation where each letter of that word is capitalized and the rest they are not. Okay, I'm going to illustrate that, but you cannot leave space in between. Okay, so when you leave space in between, usually SPSS will tell you that the variable name that you have entered is not, maybe it's not valid, or it is not supported. So you will be getting an error until you use the correct way of naming variables. And the other thing I can talk about is that You can't end a variable name with an underscore. Okay? So you can't end a variable name with an underscore, and you can't leave space in front of it. Like after you finish writing the name, then maybe you move 2 spaces, then you leave it like that. Then that becomes a what? A period. As you can see here, you don't end a variable name with a period. Okay? So basically, these are a few things that you need to take note of. And the other one is that you can use an upper and lowercase, okay, and a mixture thereof within a variable. That is okay. Okay. And the other thing also is that you can't use SPSS reserved keywords. And some of the keywords have been listed here. So you can't use or, and, by, EQ, GE, GT, LE, LT, NE, not, or, to, or what, or with. So these, if you try to write any of these as a variable name, okay, you will not be able to go through with it. Okay, it's going to tell you that you can't use a what? A reserved keyword. Okay, reserved keywords are basically words that are used for special syntax in what? In SPSS. So you can't use them as a variable name. They are reserved. They're already reserved. You can't use them for anything else. Okay. And the last one is that each variable must be unique. So you're not going to you're not going to have 2 variables with the same name. No. Each variable is supposed to be unique. Okay. Yeah. So that's it about naming variables. And since we have looked at this, that was just something that I wanted us to go through before we start. We can move on to exactly what I want us to look at tonight. Okay. So like I mentioned, tonight we are looking at what? Importing data from what? From Excel. Importing data from Excel. So in order for us to do this, I'm just gonna close I'm going to close this presentation presentation slide, these presentation slides. Then I'm going to open the application SPSS, so that I can be illustrating as we are moving, and so that you'll be able to see exactly what is happening and how you can do this. Okay. So we are going to start looking at importing what? Data from Excel. Since we are done looking at what? Naming variables. Okay. So like I have mentioned, I'm going to stop sharing the presentation. I'm going to share the application, which is what? SPSS. So just give me a few moments so that I stop sharing this. And then I share a different window, which is this one. Okay. Let me just maximize it so that we can see clearly. Are you able to see my screen? Okay, great. So this is SP. Okay. So I'm going to show us how to import what? A file, which is what? Which is an Excel file into SPSS. Okay, why do we have to know how to do this? Sometimes you're going to have data that you would have entered maybe in Excel, and you decide that you want to run an analysis using what? SPSS. So you don't have to start from scratch typing that data into SPSS again, entering that data into SPSS again. No, you can easily move that Excel file into SPSS, and it will be able to be you can edit it in SPSS so that it becomes compatible with how SPSS expect the data to be entered, and some of the metadata, the attributes associated to the data that it's supposed to have in order for you to use that data exactly that you need to, the way that you need to use it. Okay? So that is why you need to know how to import a file. Okay? And in order for you to import a file, you open your SPSS. Okay? When you reach here, you're going to have two views. Like I mentioned, you have the data view and also the variable view. And on top here, we have the menus. We have file, we have edit, we have view, we have data, we have transform, analyze, graphs, utilities, extensions, windows, and help. Okay? And then down here, we have what? You open data document. We also have save this document. Okay? And we also have recall recently used dialogues. We have undo, redo. Okay, we have go to case. Cases are basically rows of your data view. Rows of your data view or variable view. Those are basically what they call cases. Okay. And then you are already familiar with variables. Of course, columns are what are called variables. Okay. And if you want to edit some variables, you can come here under variables. If you want to run a descriptive analysis, you can either use this or you can use analyze to run a descriptive analysis. We are going to see this. I hope we'll have enough time to do this tonight because the intention is to import data and be able to run some simple analysis. Okay. And then there's also find, there's split, there's select cases, there's variable value label. Okay, I'm going to explain how exactly value labels work or how they work. Okay, sometimes okay, remember when I was talking about defining variables, I mentioned that you can give values to the you can give values to your variable to your variables. Okay, for instance, if your variable name is gender, we know that gender has male and it also has female. Really? Okay, so you can like I was saying, your gender is male and female. Okay, so instead of typing male or female in your in defining variables, you are going to give values to these two gender types, which is male or female. Okay, so much that male is going to be represented by 1 and female is going to be represented by 2. So if you want to see the value labels, because in your data, we're in data view, in your data it's just going to be showing ones and twos. But if you want to know what those ones and twos usually are exactly what they represent, you have to click on on value labels. Then you'll be able to see that 1 is for female and 2 is for male. Okay, so that is what this is used for. Okay, I think that's one important tool that I can talk about for now. The rest of them will use them as we go on. Okay, so we want to import an Excel file into SPSS. So in order for us to do that, the first step we do the first step we take is we go to file. As you can see here on top, there's file. Okay. There's file here on top. So I'm just gonna click on it. Okay. Okay, great. It was taking a lot of time to respond. Now we are here. So notice when I just take my cursor under file, the drop down menu usually it comes on its own. Okay, so you can go, you can check, you can then check edit. When you check edit, all the tools which are associated with it under the drop down menu, they are going to come. Okay, we also have view. Okay, but anyway, we are more interested in file. When we go to file, we are going to go under what? Open. Okay, we are going to go under open, and when we go under open, we are going to click on what? On data. Okay, of course this is when you already have, if you already if your Excel file, it's already in SPSS. Maybe you've saved it somewhere in SPSS. That's where I use what? Open. But if your if your Excel file is seated on your desktop, or maybe in a certain folder on your desktop, then it means you have to go under what? Under import. Okay. When you go under import, you notice the the options that you have. Remember, I mentioned that SPSS gives you an option to open different kinds of files. For instance, here you can open a database file, you can open an Excel file, a CSV file, a text file, you know, all these files which are down here, even a file that is in Stata, a file that a file whereby you enter data in Stata, but then you want to open it in maybe SPSS because you want to run another analysis. Maybe there are certain tools, okay, certain analysis, certain types of analysis about that data that you are unable to get in Stata, and so maybe you want to use SPSS in order for you to get those analysis. Okay, instead of starting from scratch, you can just choose you can go under import, under file, import, then you choose what is data, and then you'll be able to get the file that you want and move it to SPSS. But this time around, like I mentioned, we're going to use Excel. So I'm just gonna click on what? On Excel. Okay. So notice what happens when you click Excel. It's going to take you to your what? To your storage. Okay. To take you to your storage, and then you click there. You go exactly where that file is that you're looking for, and in this case, we are looking for a folder called what? SPSS, and there it is, the file that we are looking for. Okay, the file name is what? Well-being. Okay, and then we are going to click on it so that we select it. When we select it, we are going to click on what? On open. Okay, so I'm just gonna click on open. It's taking a lot of time. It's taking a lot of time to load. Let's just give it a little bit of time. I don't know why my computer has become slow.
Madam, should look like this.
Can I see? Let me see again.
It's on top it's red like box. On top it's red. Read Excel file. Then it has got worksheet. Name. Then in boxes there is a read variable names from first row of data.
So basically, you're specifying under read from first row. You're basically trying to tell SPS how exactly it's going to treat that data. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So since we want that the data to be read exactly the way it is, so is there next?
No, it's down there. There is okay. Paste insert capture L.
Yeah. So you can click OK.
Yeah, it has now.
It has opened. Huh?
Yeah.
Great. That is what. Yeah. That's when mine is responding. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's network, so it's tripping, or maybe it's just the application, or maybe my computer. Maybe I need to clean it. It has become slow. Okay. So this is basically what you were talking about. There's worksheet here. If you want to start from sheet 1, A1, like everything that has data. If there are certain parts of your worksheet that you want to remove, this is where you remove from. Okay. So you can click here and choose how exactly, or you can just type inside here and you'll be able to make the changes that you want. You can create a range here. Okay. A range of cells, basically, maybe you're going to start from A1, maybe up to H15, or maybe like the way it is here, we have A1 to what? To K183. So this is all the space that has the what? The data. And then we have read variable names from the what? The first row. So what they mean basically here is that the first row in your Excel file should contain what is going to be picked to become variable names. If no, then you have to untick this. But in our case, it is yes, so we leave it like that. Okay? Then we have percentage of values to be determined, and also we ignore hidden rows and columns. There's remove leading spaces from what is string values. If you want to remove leading spaces, you can tick this. Remove trailing space from. Anyway, these ones are not very important. They don't really affect our data in any way, so we just leave them like that. Okay. So there's space, there's okay, there's reset. So we are going to click on what? Okay. Now, notice what happens when you click OK. The syntax comes first before the data is actually opened. Okay? You're going to have the syntax first. It's going to be what? It's going to be generated. And then after that, your data is going to be opened. And our data has been opened. Let me just share the screen where the data has been opened, because we already had a data file that was open. SPSS, when you ask it to open and to import a file, it's going to open that data on what? On a different file, on a different window basically. So I have to go back in here and stop sharing this window and share the window where the data has been what? Has been opened. I'm just gonna go back here and I'm going to choose which window has data. This one, which is untitled 3. Then I'm going to click on share. Okay. and this is our data. Okay, so we are looking at this data in what? In data view. Remember the views? I talked about the views. We are looking at this data in data view. When you check down here, you notice that data view is what is selected. Okay, so this is how you look at the data in data view. Okay, so the variables we have gender. When you take your cursor there, it's going to give you all the attributes associated with gender. And when you go to age, you will see the attributes associated to it. When you go to race, you will also see that. When you go to marital status, you also see that. When you go to financial status, we also have life satisfaction, self-esteem, depression. We also have what? Weight. What else do we have? We also have weight. Okay, I'm sure in the one that I've shared with you, you should even have pH or something. So these are some of the variables that we have. Okay, so we have successfully imported a file from Excel to what? To SPSS. But then we have to make sure that the variables associated with this data, they are correctly defined so that we don't get any errors as we do our analysis. So I'm just going to open this data in variable view so that we make sure that the attributes which are associated with these variables are correct. Okay. So when I open, notice what happens when I open this data in variable view. We have names of variables here. The names of variables we have, the first one is gender, the second one is age, the next one is race, the next one is marital status. We also have financial status, physical healthy. We are looking at people's well-being. So this was probably our research. We were in our questionnaire, we had questions which people were answering with regards to what? To these what? Names of variables. Okay, so under type, this is basically the data type, and you notice that all of it is what? Is numeric. Gender is also numeric. Why? Because the attributes have been given what? Labels. We have to give them labels, and they will be represented with either a 1 or a 2. No wonder its gender is numeric. Age is also numeric, we know. Race also has been what? Categorized. No wonder it's what? It's numeric. So then the races are being represented by what? By numbers. Then we also have marital status, which can also be represented by numbers. We can have single, married, and other. Okay, financial status, we can also categorize it: physical healthy, life satisfaction, self-esteem. All these can be put on a Likert scale. No wonder they are all numeric. Okay, the next thing we have is width. Width basically is the size of the or the column or the row. So it's not a big deal. We can always make it big or make it small using other means. We can move it like this. If you want to make it big, we don't really have to worry about the size and putting the actual numbers here. Decimal places. For gender, we don't need decimal places. For age, we don't need decimal places. We don't have, maybe we might have someone who is 10 years point shan, which is going to be equal to month, but we don't need that. We also have race, financial status. I don't think there's any variable that needs decimal places. So I'm just going to leave everything for 0. So what am I doing here? I'm trying to make sure that these variables are properly defined so that we don't have any errors in our analysis. So when you import data, you come to variable view and make sure that everything is correct. Okay? The next one we have is labels. Okay, remember I mentioned that labels, they give more information about our our variables. Okay, our variable names, I mean. Okay, so for instance, we have gender. The label could probably be, what is your gender? Okay, So I'm just gonna type what is your gender here. Okay, so much that if you don't understand what gender refers to, you're going to check here. Okay, so these are basically labels. We can if we try to relate them to a questionnaire, these are actually the actual questions that you'll be asking the respondents. Understand? The actual questions that you're going to be asking your respondents so that they can understand what exactly you want from them. Okay, so I'm just gonna make this column a little bit big so that we are able to read everything that I put there. Okay, the next one is age. Age could be how old are you, right? Let me just use capital. How old are you? Like that. Okay. The next one is race. Race could also be what is your race? What is your race? Like that. Okay. Then the next one is marital status. I don't know, what label do we put under marital status? What do you think? Maybe it's enough. It gives enough information. We don't have to add any label. In fact, yeah, the other thing I should mention, if you feel like your variable name is enough, it's sufficient to give the information that to make people understand what you are asking for, you don't have to add a label. Okay, just leave it blank, which I feel we should do for marital status, because I mean it's clear, right? Marital status is marital status. Okay, so the other thing I should mention under marital status, if you're able to see the way the name has been written, this basically it's trying to explain what I mentioned under naming variables. You don't leave space in between marital and status. Instead, in order for you to show people that these are two different words, you make M become a capital letter and also S become a capital letter. Or the other alternative is that you can put an underscore in between them. Okay? Let's try to do that. Like that. You can also do that. Okay? You put an underscore in between them and someone will be able to tell, but you can't leave space like that. And then move to the next one. You notice what happens, what SPS says. It says that variable name contains what? An illegal character. So you can't do that. Okay? So I'm just gonna click OK here. And it goes back to exactly the way it was. So this is what I was trying to say to you when I was explaining to you about what variable names. Okay? You'll be getting an error and you won't be understanding where it's coming from if you don't understand how to name what variables. Okay? So basically that's the idea about labels. Is there something else that we can look at under labels? I think you can add more labels for yourself down here as we go on. I think for now you understand the idea. Okay? The next one we have is values. Values, I mentioned that you give values to your variables, to your variable names, so that they are represented with numbers instead of representing them with the actual words which refer to them. For instance, gender, we have male and female. So instead of on your questionnaire, you're going to say that if you are male, write 1, and if you're female, write 2. So basically that is the idea of values. Okay, so I'm just gonna click here and we are going to give gender a value. Okay, so let's say we want 1 to represent female, so we're going to type 1 and you're going to type 1 and then under label we are going to put what? Okay, we're going to put male. like that. And then we are going to click what? Add. And then we are going to put 2 to represent what? Female, like that. And then we are going to click what? Add. Okay. If you want to remove any of them, you can click on them and then click on what? Remove. Okay, and you'll be able, it will come out if you decide you don't want it anymore. Okay, so basically this is how you add what? Values to your variables. So I'm just gonna click OK, and you notice what happens. It will show you that this particular variable has what? Values. Okay, let's try to add another one. Do we need to add? We can add age ranges, right? We can say 1 is going to represent everyone from the age of maybe 10 to 20. 2 represent everyone maybe from 20 to 50. You know, we can also add values under age. That's one way you can do it. But we're not going to do it maybe. Yeah. So that people should just be indicating if they're 15 years old, they'll just be writing 15. If they are 20 years old, they'll just be writing 20 years old. So we're just going to leave it under none. Okay, for race, let's also add values for race. Let's say 1 is going to represent whites. Okay, maybe Africans. Yeah, maybe that's better. 1 should represent Africans. And then we are just gonna click add, and then I'm going to have another one. 2 is going to represent, what's the other one we can add under race? Or maybe we should just use whites, blacks, and other. What do you think?
Yeah,
that's better.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna remove this one with the Africa that we added at first. I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to say 1 should represent whites, actually blacks, and then I'm going to click add, and then 2 should represent, 2 not 3, 2 should represent whites, and then I'm gonna click add, and then we're going to have the last one, which is other, people who don't feel that they're black or white. So I'm just gonna add the third one, which is going to be other, just in case. Okay, then I'm gonna click add, then I'm gonna click OK, and there it is. Okay, so we've added 2 values so far. I think we can use these ones for illustration for now. Okay, so we've added 2 values. You can add more if you want. Here, you under marital status, you can say single, married, and other. Okay, 1 can represent single, 2 can represent married, and the third one, okay, no, let's just do it so that we can have 3. Okay, so we're going to have 1 representing the single, then I'm gonna click add, then we are going to have 2 representing married, then I'm gonna click add, and then we are also going to have other, which is going to be 3 for the divorced, for any other cases, so that they'll fall under other. Okay, then I'm gonna click add, and I'm gonna click OK. So we've added values to 3 of them. Columns, this is also okay, we can leave it like that. Then alignment, right, this is also okay. Then under measure, we have to make sure that these variables have been properly measured. For instance, nominal. Okay, we said nominal does not have any category and the numbers do not represent anything. So in the case of gender, we don't have any category. We can't say that male is greater than female. we can't say that we are going to add male and female and end up with something else. So nominal is correct for this one. And then scale for age. Yeah, basically scale for age is also correct because we are going to have people who are older than the other ones. So age can either be ordinal or it can be at scale, which is okay. And then race is also nominal. I think they are properly measured. Let's try these other ones. Life satisfaction, yeah, it's actually scale. We can measure the life satisfaction of someone. Others can be more satisfied or others are not. Self-esteem, we can also measure them. Others can have high self-esteem, others can have low self-esteem. Okay? Self-perception also can be measured. Then weight. Weight. What do you think about weight? Do you think weight is ordinal, nominal, or scale? Huh?
This should be scale.
Yes, correct. Thank you very much. Weight is supposed to be scale because there are people who are what? Who are other people are underweight, others are overweight, something like that. So it can either be scale or ordinal. Either of these two actually is correct. So maybe we just leave it under ordinal. Okay? Because you can create an odd and say, okay, this one is underweight, then we have the next one is this one, based on the results that people give you. So this is how you make sure that your data is compatible with SPSS so that you don't expect any errors as you are doing your analysis. And then under row, basically input is a default option that's given. It's basically the role that a particular variable is going to play in your analysis. So input does not affect your analysis in any way. So no wonder the default option is usually input. But if you decide, if you have options, maybe you wanted it to be an independent we want it to play a role of an independent variable or your dependent variable, you can do that. But usually input is usually okay because you can change the role of your variable at any time in your analysis. So basically this is how you clean your data. Let's just look at our data in datasheet view. Okay, and then if you want to see the value labels that you have added, you go under value labels. When you click here, you notice what happens. You see the actual things that these numbers represent. Are you able to see that?
Yes, we're able to see there where there is underlays. Let's say we had numbers. Now, since we have given our variables with
values,
we have defined the variables. Yes. So they have changed. Instead of showing numbers, they have shown what
we've added.
We have added that side under our variable.
Great.
So like was true before we defined the variable.
So if you want to see the actual numbers again, you click under value labels and you'll be able to see the numbers. If you want to see the values which represent them, you can navigate like that. Okay? Under what? Under value labels. Are there any questions for today? I think we'll end here. Next time when we meet, we are going to do some descriptive analysis. Any questions?
Yeah, madam, I want to ask. When we started today's lesson, when we were importing the Excel into SPSS, there is something you said when we go on file, we want to import. There is open and import data. Under open, there is something that I didn't get properly. Let's say if a document was saved under SPSS, if we go on open, click there, we go on data, we open that document will be there. But for this one, I tried to see it, but it wasn't there. I only see what I saved when I was trying practically this afternoon. Then when I go on import data, that's when the Excel that you sent, that's when it came. That's when I saw it. How what you said on this part.
Oh, okay. So I'm just gonna explain that again. So I mentioned that if you want to import, if you use import if your data is not, it's an external data. It's seated somewhere else, not in this application, which is what SPSS. Understand that? For instance, we can import.
Yes,
Yeah, we import mini meal from another country. We call it import if it's not in the country. So it's the same idea. And then you open what's already inside this document. So if there are certain files that you have saved, you're going to click on data, and then they will give you the options of all the data that you have. If you already have some files, and you'll be able to choose which one you want to open. Okay?
okay, I've understood.
Yeah. So basically that's how they work. Okay, I'll end here. Please give this save it. Okay, you go under save, or you can go under file and choose what is save as, and then give it a name. You can call it SPSS demo, and save it so that we can continue from where we've ended next time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Same.
All right. We can feel free to leave the meeting. I'll